Hi, I'm Rich and welcome to this edition of the Reset Connect Sustainability Interviews. I'm here to meet a friend today who's been instrumental in driving the sustainability journey of London.
So in 2016, there wasn't an electric vehicle. There was 2 diesel vehicles on the market. They were aging vehicles, to be honest, and they were problematic. Heavy oil, so diesel, and they were quite polluting, not very eco-friendly. The miles per gallon was poor. So my previous business was property management. So I pivoted into taxi because I got my taxi license. But then the opportunity came up to get involved in electric vehicles because of the mandate. January the 1st, 2018 was the Mayor's target for all London taxis to be zero emissions capable. Yeah. They didn't necessarily have to be fully electric, but zero emissions capable. So LEVC is the company that makes these vehicles, London Electric Vehicle Company. They changed their name from London Taxi Company to London Electric Vehicle Company. They invited me to the launch of this vehicle, and I saw a big opportunity. So that's how it came about. And there was a feeling inside me that it would be good for London because of the pollution aspect. As far as I know, we was the first fleet to make an order for this taxi, and multiple orders. There was other companies that did it at the same time, but we quickly converted all our taxis. And I think the motivation was from what you see in the world, really. Like, you know, most people are getting involved in, and you can see the future unfolding. Most people are getting involved in green projects, and you know, it's going to be a massive part of the economy going forward. Yeah. So if you're part of it, you're going to be involved in that economy. You seem to get a lot more respect from people in general, you know, because you're doing something for the environment. You're not just doing something for your own business, you're doing something for other people, other businesses. When I was driving the diesel taxis, people wouldn't talk about the environment. They weren't interested, you know, because they knew that they were in a heavy polluting vehicle. Yeah. So there was a bit of guilt factor there, which wasn't, you know, as vocal, but when they're getting in now, you can see, you can hear it. A lot of people are excited about it, you know. A lot of drivers don't understand how important this vehicle is to our trade. Yeah. The investment that's gone into it, and you know, the energy that's gone into building this vehicle, yeah, in this country has made a huge impact to the trade, yeah, and to London. Yeah. People that were worried about the cost of it, yeah, about how they were going to operate the vehicle. Yeah. So I went live and just completely bare-boned it, you know. Yeah. Yeah. And it was so popular, and actually from the back of that, that's where it kicked it all off, because people ordered them. Other fleets got involved, but mainly a load of owner drivers, because they could see that it was a low maintenance vehicle. But a lot of them are obsessed by charging it because they don't want to hear the generator going round. Yeah. Because the range isn't that long. It would only last you between 4 and 7 hours. Yeah. Which isn't really a whole shift, yeah, for most taxi drivers. Yeah. So yeah, there is an obsession by charging it, and we need more infrastructure. Right. The more infrastructure we get, the more opportunities we get to charge it, right? I think the big challenges are attitudes. You know, people's attitudes towards change. The cost is high. Yeah. You know, the batteries are still big, right? So the cost of batteries is still quite, you know, high, and it's a little bit prohibitive. Yeah. Still. And funding, you know, getting people to understand the dream about where we're going, and the reality of it, because I think people, because there's still a lot of vehicles available that don't cost as much, it's made it difficult. It's made it difficult, you know. There's still a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
But if you look at the figures now for new car sales, especially in the last 18 months, the battery vehicles, the BEV battery, I think 200% increase, something like that. So we're only going one way, and where they've dropped it from 2040 to 2035, and now again down to 2030 for the switch for new vehicles, that again's propelled our need for change. So it all points one way. And wherever you look now, look to your right, wherever you look, there's a charger.
Yeah.
You know, on the street, there's a vehicle being charged. I've had funding. We got funding. I mean, my business lives on funding. I mean, you know, to have a certain growth at a certain speed, that to keep up with the demand, we have to obtain funding from lenders, from asset finance lenders. And pre-COVID, that was quite strong. But obviously now it's going to be difficult. Going forward, it's going to be difficult because of COVID. But, you know, I believe in the recovery, because it's going to be a green recovery. They're going to look to, hopefully going to look to companies like mine to support, because of our ethos. It's been very, very challenging, because we've had to take a percentage of the fleet off the road. Each time there's been a lockdown, we've had to, you know, batten down the hatches. So we've actually, in the first lockdown, we provided our taxi free of charge for a short period, just to help them, because we didn't know where this was going. We didn't know where we were heading. And then by the third lockdown, we were like, can you help us now? You know, so we've kind of got through it all together. We've found out a lot about certain people. They've found out a lot more about us. And we've got through it together and supported each other the best way we found it. You know, there's been some really difficult conversations, some arguments. There's been some happy conversations, you know, but we've all got through it, and we're looking to come out the other side now and do it in a, you know, in a fair way. I think several things really, you know, get the right support around you. Make sure you trust people that you work with. That's really important. Your partnerships that you make are really important. You have to take risks and gambles. There's no way you can't do any kind of startup without taking some sort of gamble. So don't feel scared to take that gamble. Try not to do one thing. Try and do something that can counter what you're doing, i.e. what this has taught us pandemic-wise is this industry is quite exposed to hospitality. So if you're doing one thing, try and do something else to counter it. I think we're looking at other things, yeah. I mean, if you saw what happened during the pandemic, there were certain businesses that prospered when everyone else didn't, i.e. delivery businesses. So we may look at vans, you know, electric vans. That's something we may look at. But it's a whole new world, you know. I love the taxi trade. But if we're going to be exposed by viruses in the future, we don't know how easy it's going to be for governments to lock us down in the future. Because it seems like it's very easy for them to do that. And that really impacts the taxi trade. Trying to balance finance, really. That's the main things. It's all about numbers and making sure you're covering your costs. Because before this happened, you're looking at your profit margin and how you can move to the next level. Whereas when you're working in a pandemic and you're working in hospitality and you're looking at all of a sudden you may be losing money, you're then balancing who we're gonna pay first. Don't forget, all my taxis are rented to small businesses.
Yes.
So I'm worried about them.
Yes.
And how they're gonna feed their families, and genuinely worried about how they're gonna feed their families. And I don't want to be in that person that demands too much from them when it's not there. I think so. Yeah, I think if you can't get up in the morning and be motivated by what you're doing, if you're an entrepreneur and you've started something and you get up in the morning, you're not satisfied by what you're doing, then why are you doing it? I worked really hard to get my green badge, and I'm proud of that. And I'll always want to drive a taxi. But at the same time, I'm delighted that I've been able to invest in that trade at the same time, and leading on from that is to make it green, because that helps everybody, not just people in the taxi trade, right?